Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Essential Album video. We're now on week 12, and this week we're taking a look at Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest. First released July 1st, 1982. Some notable tracks on this album include The Hellion, Electric Eye, Pain and Pleasure, and You've Got Another Thing Coming. Actually have this album here on vinyl. I picked this up local store back in 2012, and that was the first time I fully listened to the album. We got the back of the album there as well. But I want to say, yeah, so picked this up for $4. So just got the, I don't know if you can zoom in. $4 for this is a steal. So just a classic metal album. I think widely regarded as probably their best album, at least in my opinion. But a lot of lists rank this album at number 1, and just that artwork is just incredible with the crazy eagle. I think that might be the Hellion. I don't really know, but just incredible artwork on the cover here. I remember the cover being mentioned, I want to say, on Aqua Teen Hunger Force at one point. And this is probably before I had the album, but I remember, I think it was Carl was talking about it and just how crazy cool the cover was. So there is that. I'm going to set that aside. I have my notes here. We're going to get to those, and then we'll get to the track list and all that kind of stuff. So we actually just pull up my notes. There we are. And make sure we have our thing loaded up here as well. There we go. All right, cool. So we jump back to here. All right, so like we said earlier in the video, first released July 1st, 1982. This is their 8th studio album. And this is kind of the band's major breakthrough, at least in North America. They had a pretty big following before that, elsewhere. But this album was kind of the one that put them on the map, at least in North America. They had a following, like I said, I think in England and stuff like that, but this one really was what kind of pushed them into kind of the mainstream in North America. One of the tracks on this album is You've Got Another Thing Coming, one of their most well-known tracks, and I remember hearing it back maybe on MTV back in maybe the late 80s or something, or sometime in the 80s, maybe in the 90s. But then prior to picking this album up, the thing that kind of brought it back to my attention was Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This that song is featured on, I think it's V-Rock, so it's kind of like the rock and metal station in that game. And You've Got Another Thing Coming is featured on that station. One interesting thing about You've Got Another Thing Coming, it was a very last minute addition to the album. It's kind of funny because it's one of their most iconic songs, and it was a song that was kind of just thrown on at the end of the recording, maybe just to kind of get some more tracks onto the album. I don't want to say necessarily like an afterthought, but it kind of came very late in the album's production. There's a couple quotes here from guitarist K.K. Downing and Rob Halford, so I'm gonna bring those up right here. So K.K. Downing was quoted as saying, quote, "We were quite happy with the album, but decided late on that we would add one more song. I know we had some of the parts, but we set about completing Another Thing Coming during the mixing sessions at BG Studios. It came together quite quickly, and I seem to remember that we all had a good feeling about it, as it did sound like a good driving song and possibly a good radio track." And then Rob Halford quoted about the song, was kind of surprised that it kind of became as popular as it has been. It says, quote, this is from Rob Halford, so, quote, "That track was buried. Normally the tracks you think are going to do stuff are at the front end of the release. But our friends at Sony said," and then a quote from the Sony people, "we're going to go for this song. And we didn't," and then that's the end of the Sony quote, and then back to Rob Halford, he says, "And we didn't really know what was going on. But then the feedback was coming over, and it was, quote, 'Hey, the record's buzzing in this town and that town, and it just took off. So kind of a song that was kind of just thrown on, like toward the end, ended up kind of just blowing up, and like becoming one of their most iconic hits. Another cool thing with that particular song is this is like back in like 2007, so this would have been like after Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out. But there was this local band, I believe they were called Latex Limousine, and they were like an 80s cover band, 80s rock metal cover band basically. And they played I think I seen them live like maybe like 3 times. So the first time I saw them, they just played normally, and it was a pretty cool show. They played like a lot of like 80s hits. They did You've Got Another Thing Coming. I remember them doing Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions. I think they did like Your Love by the Outfield. So like some 80s metal / 80s rock and some like kind of like pop rock kind of stuff as well. And then the second time I saw them, I think the lead singer was actually, it was like a lead singer and lead guitarist. I think it was like a 3-piece band maybe. I think it was like a guitarist, bassist, and a drummer. And the lead singer was sick, or was like getting over a cold, so he couldn't really sing. So they basically had a lyric book up there, and they said, "Hey, what we're gonna do is you can come up here, pick a song from this book, we'll play it, and you'll sing it to the audience." So I ended up getting up there and doing "You've Got Another Thing Coming." Had a blast doing that, and then I kind of think that became their thing for. I don't think this band's around anymore, but that kind of became their thing. Was it basically a live karaoke? They would play the music, the people in the audience would come up and sing the songs. So after that second show, I think the third one that they did was entirely that. And from what I remember seeing, I think like I said, only saw them like 3 times, but then that kind of became their thing. So that was kind of cool. Let me see. Got some reviews here for the album. Let me just pull those up. So AllMusic has it at a 4 out of 5. Let's see here. Metal Storm gives it a 10 out of 10. Pop Matters has it at a 7 out of 10, and that's for the 30th anniversary release. Martin Popoff has it at a 9 out of 10. Sounds has it at a 4 out of 5. Sputnik Music has it at a 3.5 out of 5. And then Terrorizer gives it a 5 out of 5. And that is for the 30th anniversary. I don't know if there's any retrospective reviews here. And let's get to our track listing here. Original album comes in at about 38 minutes and 43 seconds. And it's about, 10 tracks. There's a few other ones that add some, like the 2001 edition adds a couple extra tracks. 30th anniversary adds in like a bunch more tracks, like some live performances and things like that. But we're just going off of the original recording here. Oh, and I guess I should say that the track Electric Eye, the reason I ended up knowing about that one before picking up the album was it was included on Guitar Hero, was it like Roxy 80s, the 80s edition of Guitar Hero. So I knew Electric Eye from that, and I knew You've Got Another Thing Coming from Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And then, like 2 years after that Guitar Hero game came out is when I actually picked up the album. And the thing that actually spawned me into doing this album for this particular week was listening to another metal album. I was listening to Holy Diver by Dio, listening to that album, another just rock or metal classic as well. And Apple Music does a thing where once an album finishes, it'll start playing similar music. And it went into playing Electric Eye. And I kind of had to stop it because I'm like, Electric Eye without the Hellion introduction is almost like sacrilege to me. It's just it feels weird listening to Electric Eye without previously listening to the Hellion. The Hellion's like a 40-second song, but it leads perfectly into Electric Eye. Let me actually just bring up a quote about that before we get to the track list here. I had it pulled up. Should have not closed that tab. There we go. Yeah, this was basically just an article about the different albums. Let's see if I can actually pull it up, or was that, let me just see. Sorry about that. This is not making for a great video at the moment. Let me just pull this down here. All right, there we go. And the quote is, let me just see what it says. Yeah, okay, it says basically like this is a quote from just like from Loudwire, talking about like their album rankings, and this was ranked at #1. A lot of lists have this album at #1, but it says the one-two punch of the Hellion and Electric Eye stands among the best lead-ins across all of heavy metal, building tension with lead work before ripping it all away in a blink. So yeah, like the Hellion's just like an amazing intro, and then it leads right into Electric Eye. Electric Eye basically tells the story of like a satellite in space that's like spying on people, especially like very like authoritarian kind of like 1984 kind of vibes to it. But just a when after listening to Holy Diver, it just played Electric Eye, and I was like, I had to stop listening to it and just go back into Apple Music and go into the full album, because like like I said, Electric Eye without the Hellion intro is like sacrilege in my opinion. But let me get to the track list now. We'll get to that. Again, let's see, 10 tracks, and it comes in at about 38 minutes and 43 seconds. Track 1 is the Hellion, so track 1 is like 41 seconds long. And that leads perfectly into Electric Eye, which is track 2. Probably my second favorite track on the album is Electric Eye. Like, I think it actually might be my favorite. You've Got Another Thing Coming is great, and Electric Eye is also incredible. And I don't remember if the version in the Guitar Hero game included the Hellion or not. I think it might have. But anyway, so track 2 is Electric Eye, just a classic. Track 3 is Riding on the Wind. Track 4 is Bloodstone. Track 5 is Take These, in parentheses, Take These Chains. Take These Chains, I should say. Track 6 is Pain and Pleasure. Then you go into track 7 is Screaming for Vengeance. Track 8 is You've Got Another Thing Coming. That's an absolute classic there. Track 9 is Fever, and then track 10 is Devil's Child. So 10 tracks, 38 minutes and 43 seconds for the original version of the album, and that's a very kind of short listen, but it's basically like from start to finish, it's just a metal masterpiece in my opinion. Absolutely love the album. The artwork on it is incredible. Just like you got this screaming eagle looking amazing. I remember when I picked this album up, I had this album in a wireframe kind of like thing for storing records in. Basically, it was like a wire cubes basically. And I had some issues with a computer where I actually had to call. I think it was like a Dell computer at the time. Call up support, and they had to like send somebody to replace the motherboard, because like this is like a few weeks after getting this computer that the motherboard decided to like just die or whatever. So the guy comes over and is putting the new motherboard in and notices. He's like, "Are those vinyls?" I was like, "Yeah." And he mentioned, started talking about this particular album, because this one was like at the front of the stack. So just like a cool little conversation about like music, and then also this particular album. But yeah, Screaming for Vengeance is just, like I said, a modern. It's over 40 years old now, but 40 years old now. But basically, just a metal masterpiece. One of my favorite metal albums overall, I think. And that is going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in about a week with another album. No idea what that's going to be just yet. Like I said, this one kind of just came out of nowhere, because it started playing, like auto-playing, after listening to Holy Diver. But we'll be back in a week. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.